It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. Oh, gosh, guys, this is exciting. I'm going to be doing an amazing 4-part series with this most dynamic diva. If this is your very first time tuning into the Divas That Care, a huge welcome to you. The Divas That Care is going to be going into its 12th season soon. Oh my gosh, we are listened to in over 30 countries around the world, and it's because of all of our amazing listeners that we are able to do this. So a huge thank you to everybody out there. Jodie, welcome to the Divas That Care. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Candace. I'm so happy to be here, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you also. Oh, gosh, Jodie, before we kind of dive in, I've got a whole bunch of great questions for you, but would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners today?
Sure, I would be thrilled to. So, as you said, my name is Jodie Pappas. First and foremost, I'm a mother to 3 amazing girls and a wife, and I am very passionate about everything that I kind of, put myself behind. And so, as a title, I am a skincare formulator. I'm the brand founder of Clean Kiss. So it's a natural skincare brand that is created in Canada, but it's sold throughout North America. And my mission behind Clean Kiss and, just myself as an entrepreneur is to help women in midlife to feel more confident in their skin. And so I create these natural skincare products that enable women to regain that confidence by being able to use beautiful natural skincare that really kind of revitalizes and reinvigorates the beautiful skin that they have. But, more than that, and I know this is, probably something we're going to really dive into today. More than that, I realized that, yes, skincare and what you put on your skin topically it's so important. It's so vital. Our skin is our largest organ. Really have to nurture our skin, not only as we age, but we need to start doing this at a young age, right? And so the reason I work with women in midlife is because, most women in midlife can impact that next generation of women and, our daughters or our nieces, our family members, our coworkers. And so if women really understand what it means to be confident in their skin, one component of that is looking after your skin, but the other component is your mindset around confidence and your skin and around aging and around what beauty really is nowadays. So, I guess in a nutshell, I'm trying to redefine how we define beauty and, what it means to be a woman as you age. And you have to reset that mindset, at a young age so that we can feel good our whole lives around, being a woman.
This is perfect. I am very excited about this. So before we kind of dive into today's questions, we're going to be doing a 4-part series. Can you just briefly give me an overview of what they're going to be about?
Yes, absolutely. So the 4-part series is all about what I call my pro-aging freedom formula. And so I talk about 4 pillars that make up this whole new redefinition of beauty. So the 4 pillars are going to be broken down in each of our 4 parts of our series. And so today we're talking about resetting your mindset because that has to be the foundation. And then next week we are talking about, you're really taxing my brain here today, Candace. So next week we're talking about clean skincare. And so how to next week is all about body and body movement, body positivity. That's next week's show. Then the third show is all about, caring for your skin, which incorporates, how to identify what is a clean ingredient that you're putting on your skin versus a toxic ingredient. That is so important to us as women as we're aging to make sure that we're staying away from toxins. And also part of that talk is going to be around how you can actually just care for your skin naturally without spending a fortune and breaking the bank. And then the final part in the series is going to be all about nutrition. So much of what we do to our body to get healthy, it has to come from the food that we consume. And again, it's not about breaking the bank and having to, do gourmet cooking. There are things that are probably in everybody's fridge today or sitting on your counter in terms of, fresh fruit and vegetables that I'm going to be talking about, how to really maximize what you put into your body so that you can feel great and look great and feel confident and get that vitality back through simple food choices.
This is
that's
perfect.
The 4 parts.
And a lot of it's amazing because a lot of people are trying to do New Year's resolutions. I'm not about a New Year's resolution because I think people should be doing this all the time. But I think it's really important because we have that, it's almost like that shift. It's like, okay, it's after Christmas. I need to start thinking about myself. And you are really going to empower so many women over the age of 40, really. And a lot of our graphics are over the age of 40. So this is perfect for invigorating all of us for the new year.
Yes, and you know what, I'm so glad that you actually mentioned that because you're right. This is the time, like every human right now is coming up with a New Year's resolution. And women mostly gravitate to, those weight loss goals and, I want to lose weight, I want to exercise more, I want to feel better in the new year. And those are all great goals. And I don't want to tell you, to the listeners today to not set those goals because anytime you're going to put a health goal in place and at the forefront of your life, then that's really important. So you have to do what's going to make you feel great. But I want to encourage people to think about those health goals a little bit differently because what we're talking about today is that you need to make sure you are staying connected between your mind and your body. And so many of those health goals that we put in place as a New Year's resolution are often disconnecting our mind and our body. So, for example, if you're putting in place a weight loss goal and you're saying, I'm going to do this, intermittent fasting thing, and I'm not going to eat for, 12 or 16 hours of the day, and I'm going to work out like crazy, and, I'm going to shrink my body. Where in that equation are you actually thinking about listening to your body's intuition, listening to the wisdom in all of us? And so what I mean by that is, intermittent fasting might not be for everybody. And, I mean that quite literally. There are some people that it's actually contraindicated for. So, if you're forcing yourself to follow a trend, a diet trend, a lifestyle trend, because your friend and your neighbor and your best friend did it and they got great results, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the right thing for your body. And you need to listen to your body. You need to understand what is the right thing for you. And so I'm a big advocate of things like intuitive eating and intuitive movement. And that's what we're going to explore in this 4-part series together because it's all about, you could put those goals in place, but you have to listen to your body. So if you wake up and you're on this fasting window, for example, and then you're trying to exercise, your body might be screaming at you saying, no, not today. Today I'm hungry. Today I want to be nourished. And I don't want to go and, lift heavy weights or go for a run. I want to do something that's gentle and that's really honoring my body. And as women, we need to be tapping into that. And that's why I call it the mindset reset, that it's all about listening to your body. And one of the things that we know is that diets don't work. So if you're forcing yourself into this, this starvation mode and this deprivation, that's really counterintuitive to actually listening to your body and just saying, what do I actually need today? How do I honor my body today? And, and respect my body today. And actually our bodies are like these incredibly wise machines that know exactly what it is that you need. And if you stop and you listen and you tap into that, you are going to be in a healthier place because you're actually connecting and resetting your mind to really start listening.
You know what, Jodie? This is exactly what I think people need to hear. We like to think that we need to fit into this box. Everybody else is working for everybody else, like you were mentioning, but it doesn't always work for us. And I really respect that you said, you know what, you got to listen to yourself because, not one formula is going to work for everybody. That's exactly what women need. We are so hard on ourselves. When something doesn't work, we just think, oh, that's it. I've tried. I didn't give up. And I really like your positivity. Right. So let's talk about why you decided to be a pro-aging crusader. Like, really, that's what it is. You're really supporting women, but why did you decide to do that?
Well, it's funny. It's been something that's been evolving over the years. As I mentioned, I'm a skincare formulator. So I formulate skincare that is all 100% natural and clean. And so I've been doing this, and it's definitely my passion. I've been doing it since 2014. And my brand is Clean Kiss, as I mentioned earlier. And something occurred to me. In fact, something happened a couple years ago. Probably it was about 3 years ago. I was speaking to a female colleague of mine that I met. Also, she's a small business owner, and we were talking about skincare. And she said to me, I don't focus on my skin because I find it to be very intimidating. And she was talking about the industry in general, the skincare industry. She said she found it to be very intimidating and very stereotypical in terms of, you have to look a certain way, buy these products and you will look like this. In other words, buy these products and they're anti-aging and they're going to turn back the clock and, you're going to look a certain way if you use these products. And through that conversation with her, it dawned on me that so many women, in fact, the vast majority of women do not look like the models that we see on social media, right? None of us do, right? So
I don't.
Right, and I don't either. And, I use all this beautiful skincare products, and I'm real about, the fact that I just turned 50, my skin is changing. And it was this conversation with this friend of mine, this woman, that made me realize, oh my gosh, this is what women are feeling. They feel like they don't fit the norm. They feel frustrated and confused and stressed, and they look on social media or they open a magazine and they don't see themselves represented. And it dawned on me, like, if this is what women are feeling, what a shame that is, because caring for your skin is not about vanity. Caring for your skin is essential because our skin is our largest organ. Our skin is vital to our immune system, to our healthy well-being. So it's not just about, feeling confident and having beautiful skin. Of course, we all want that. We all want to feel and look beautiful. But the skin plays a much larger role. And so many women struggle with things like adult acne and, premature wrinkles and age spots, dark spots from some of the damage we've done back in our 20s. and just different things, like people have eczema and psoriasis and, different conditions. And some of these conditions can only start in midlife because of hormonal changes and stress and, the stress of caring for elderly parents at the same time as caring for our children. And, there's so much going on
and the last
when you're a woman
years, too.
Oh my gosh, the pandemic on top of it all. Like, there's just been so much complexity, and so many women are struggling. And if you're struggling and you don't know where to go for help, a lot of people's default is to do nothing. And so, they just say, well, it's overwhelming. And that's what this woman was telling me, that she found the whole skincare industry or the whole beauty industry overwhelming. And then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, I have a role that I can play here to help to not only to educate women on what to use on their skin, and the fact that I could demystify the whole, mystique behind, what to use and how to use it properly, but also the fact that educating women about how vital it is that you do care for your skin, but do it in a way that doesn't give you that false promise of, anti-aging, because I think that's so damaging that the industry in general, and it's not just the beauty and skincare industry, it's the fashion industry, it's the wellness industry. Yes, all these, quote unquote health professionals or wellness professionals are trying to get us to buy their products and services with these quick fix promises. And I feel that's very damaging to our psyche, to our confidence. We're just trying to do our best as women, and we just want to feel great. And so,
I love that, Jodie.
telling us that we have to turn back the clock, or we have to look a certain way, or, be a certain weight. To me, it's just all part of the problem. And so that's why I got onto this mission, because I want to start changing that mindset, and I want to have these conversations. So I thank you for giving me this forum with you, Candace, to have this. Yeah.
Jodie, I think this is what we need. We need to have these conversations, these real conversations. And I think that we need to empower people, not take that power away by thinking that they're not good enough just the way they are.
Exactly. So that's my mission, is I'm working it through, and I'm helping women to understand this pro-aging freedom formula that I've come up with.
I love it.
And
well,
so, you and I,
why not?
We're getting older. And here's the thing. If we are constantly searching for that holy grail of youth, that we had in our 20s and 30s, then we're really not staying present to who we are today as women in midlife. And, this is supposed to be the best time of our life. This is the powerful time of our life. This is when, as I like to think about it, if we feel really good and confident and empowered, then we can do so much for other women, for that next generation, for society. We can be more powerful entrepreneurs. We can be more influential about whatever our social causes are. All of us individually and collectively can do more if we feel great. And that's what pro-aging is all about. It's giving back, giving women back their power. Oh, thank you.
Oh, girl. So tell me, how are you helping ladies? We're going to be doing this 4-part series, but how are you working with them right now? Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So, through my social media platforms, I do a lot of education and messaging around pro-aging. So, really everything that you and I are going to talk about, Candace, over this next 4 weeks is all what I talk about through my blogs, through my videos I post on social media. So I'm just really trying to get all these messages out there. So that's one piece of it. So people, if they follow me on social media, they can see this content that I'm referring to. The other thing I'm doing is I've actually put together an 8-week program, and it's going to be, the next launch is going to be in January. So January 24th is when I'm starting up again, and I'm opening it up to women who want to join me for 8 weeks. And that 8-week program is going to break down these 4 pillars that you and I are going to explore together, Candace. It goes into that in far more depth over an 8-week period. And so that is something that I'm doing. And as part of that program, women get to work with me one-on-one to get coaching around how they can feel their best in midlife and to really embrace this whole notion of pro-aging. So, that 8-week program, it's not only, looking at the mindset that we're talking about here today, but it's diving deeper into the science behind skin and skincare and, toxic ingredients and nutrition and, so much. Like in that program, I talk to a body positivity expert. I talk to other women that have really been moving the needle in terms of pro-aging. I talk to a mental health expert. I talk to a menopause expert. So, it's me plus all these amazing expert guests that I've brought into the program to help me work with women. So that's one big piece that I'm working on. But, of course, also I want women to understand that there are, if the program is not something that they're ready for, embarking on right now, just to know that there are natural, clean skincare products out there that can help you feel great. And they don't have to be complicated. They don't have to make you feel bad about your skin and tell you that you need an anti-aging product. Just simply caring for your skin is just such an important act of self-love and self-care that we all need to be doing every day. It's our right to feel good, right?
It is, definitely. Okay, so Jodie, what is your website so they can go and check that out?
Awesome. So my website is cleankisslifestyle.com. And that is also my social media handle. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Clean Kiss Lifestyle, and on Twitter at Clean Kiss Life. And I'm also on Pinterest, and I'm on LinkedIn as well under Clean Kiss. So people can find me in a whole bunch of places.
I love this. So I want to ask you, Jodie, what type of last-minute tips and tools can you leave our listeners?
Well, what I want to leave the listeners with, especially as we're about to ring in the new year, and as we spoke about, Candace, people are starting to set those resolutions, and already thinking about, well, as of January 1st, I'm going to go hard with all these radical things that they're going to do, and like I said, I think that's great. Think about what you want the new year to bring to you, but don't think about it in terms of, radically changing your body without doing the mindset work as part of that. And so I would encourage people that rather than set the body goals, or those radical body goals, as I would call it, maybe set some mindset goals around how do I view my body now that I'm aging? How do I want to live the next half of my life? How do I want my middle age years to go? And how do I want to live them? And, do I want to live them wishing for my 20-year-old skin and body? Or do I want to live them really appreciating who I am here and now as a woman and really embracing that? And, so that's my biggest tip. And I hope that's the takeaway for people that are listening today, because that is so powerful right there.
It is a very powerful tip, and I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Jodie, for sharing that with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Candace, for having me on. and allowing me to, to share this message with women around the world.
Well, I'm really excited, and I want to remind our listeners to mark on your calendar next Tuesday, January the 4th, we are going to be doing the second part of this 4-part series, for the Body Connection part. And you don't want to miss that, because I know, Jodie, do you want to give us a quick tip on what you're going to be talking about next week?
Yes, absolutely. So next week we're going to be talking more about tapping into that intuition, especially when it comes to eating. I'm a huge proponent of the intuitive eating philosophy, so I'm going to dive into that. I'm also going to talk about intuitive movement and why movement is so vital to our mental health. And especially, oh my gosh, especially now, we're all dealing still with this pandemic. Like, who would have thought we'd still be in it? And so focusing on our mental health is so vital. And I'm going to give you some movement tips and, like I said, some intuitive eating tips so that we can really be in a healthy place with our body.
I'm excited. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Jodie, it was a pleasure chatting with you today, and I'm excited about chatting with you next week.
Oh, so am I, Candace. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
And a huge thank you to all of our listeners that are checking out today's program. I know it is almost the new year, and a lot of you are on holidays, and we really appreciate you supporting the Divas That Care. Jodie's information is going to be on all of our social media, so make sure that you check that out. But, one of the things I always tell you at the end of each show is to be kind to others. But I really want you to start focusing on yourself, too. Make sure that you're kind to yourself. Jodie's going to teach us a whole bunch of stuff in the next 4 weeks, and I think it's so important to look after ourselves in the coming year. Thank you so much, Jodie. Thank you to all of our listeners. I hope that you have a wonderful New Year's. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.